sublime to the ridiculous, but they're seldom dull. Mudslinging and name-calling are as old as this campaign poster, which held Jefferson up to Washington and concluded that Tom was no better than a mildewed ear. At least we were face-to-face then. Candidates and voters could fit under the shade of the same trees. You shook their hands, they kissed your babies. But as the country grew, the press became the prime conveyor of candidate to electorate, and some men were simply better copy than others. When women got the vote, sex appeal also became a political asset. Call it charisma, magnetism, whatever. You either had it or you didn't. Somewhere along the line, our candidates began to work at jazzing up their image. Of course, some were fairly jazzy already. Lots of people got upset about this photograph, but it probably helped more than it hurt the image of a give-em-hell politician. To win an election, though, a man still had to take a lot of risks, had to declare himself first, and hope the voters were with him. And so the American political campaign became a terrible test of endurance for a candidate. Modern campaigning still has some old circus elements, but it's a circus very highly organized and carefully planned. Among the candidates taking advantage of homecoming parades this year, there was a new face in California. He said his name was Bill McKay, and he was running for senator. There were a lot of double takes, because his real name was Robert Redford, and he happened to be making a movie called The Candidate. Redford headed an unusual cast and crew, combining dramatic talents with political savvy. His co-producer, director Michael Ritchie, was a media advisor in Senator Tunney's campaign, just as the screenwriter, Jeremy Larner, had been a speechwriter for Eugene McCarthy. And Nelson Rising, a professional campaign manager, was taken aboard to advise the fictitious campaign manager, the hard hat from Joe, Peter Boyle.
I'm a little disappointed.
Why? I've got 47% of the primary field.
Yeah, but if you look at the projection in the printout, it adds up to 32% in the election.
That's so?
So if those figures hold until November, it'll be Jarman 68, McKay 32.
I thought I was supposed to lose.
Well, now I'm telling you you'll be wiped out. You'll be humiliated.
That wasn't part of the deal. The real revolution in political campaigning came with computerized polls, which almost reversed the roles of the leader and the led. Now a candidate can find out what the voters want to hear before he opens his mouth. Then, to decide how he should open his mouth, he turns to the media specialist. He takes the candidate as raw material, processes and polishes him until the man is lost among the films and tapes. The general idea is to project energy, warmth, and decisiveness without saying anything too specific. Part of the homework is studying the strategy of the opposition, too. The center of the media specialist's world is a strange, wired-up people talking in limbo to remote control rooms. It seems like an unreal place to attempt real communication. But the media experts know what is really communicated. Sweaty palms or confident authority. Shifty eyes or 14-karat integrity. Sometimes winning or losing an election depends on what will or will not be shown to millions of people at the snap of a finger. Tackle the problems of the 1970s. We need all the strength a young man can give. Bill McKay has it. The conviction to push for real solutions to the problems of unemployment, poverty, and crime. The determination to put some action back into the United States Senate. The energy to fight the special interests on behalf of all the people of California. For a better way, Bill McKay. This deserted theater in Oakland was used by the crew of the candidate to double for the Hollywood Palladium, the site of a real political banquet which they had filmed 6 months earlier. That special smoke-filled atmosphere was recreated by a couple of prop men, and the a few pieces of burning rope in front of the lamp.
Believe it or not, he was complaining about the food. Now that takes a lot of nerve. I mean, only last week the Republicans paid $100 a plate for the very same spread. Of course, then it was fresh.
In the role of McKay's father, an ex-governor, Melvin Douglas brought his own political experience to the film.
Have a personality that registers on film, whether or not they are all that effective as statesmen or even politicians, sometimes doesn't make all that difference. It's the personality appeal that's apt to win over great numbers of people. Hey, Mabel, did you know that old Bud here is running for the United States Senate?
That's very good, Bud.
Yeah. Get him a real drink. He'll need one.
No, thanks. No.
Oh, we'll get him something. Have Johnny fix him a sandwich or something. Any man running for the Senate has to want something. Right, Bud?
You're going to get good sick of this speech by the time you leave here today. I'm going to give you the speech a little bit at a time and tell you what your reaction is going to be.
Jeremy Larner reverses 2,000 extras.
So that we can get this perfectly spontaneous. Okay? And here's what McKay is going to say to you.
I just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Which is the last line. It gives a small line. Yeah, kind of like that. Incidentally, this is Michael Ritchie, who actually here. People, not too many people were at the podium. They're having all standing at the opening when he first comes in, giving a standing ovation, and he'll gradually sit you down, and you know how crowds, some people sit down first, I don't want everybody standing up at the same time, or everybody sitting down at the same time. When he says the key line the better way, all the people with the banner should really go berserk. Very good. Do it that way.
That was a very good facade. Illusions within the illusions in the candidate play real people and places against fictional situations. Ritchie cast several well-known newsmen to report on the McKay-Jarman election. Reversing news from a screenplay may have been novel for them, but the makeup man was no stranger. In fact, no candidate can risk ignoring his advice.
Okay, we come through here at exactly 12:04. This is the time when everybody goes on their lunch break. Now, when these people pop out of those elevators, hit the street, we want to show the words you want to see activity. In the middle of the confusion, in the middle of the activity, they have to see the smiling teeth of Bill McKay bearing down. And we ensure that two ways. First, we stall cars right here. That's on Jason's street. Nobody else can get through. Two, we run a sound truck in and out of there, half an hour ahead of time. Bill McKay a better way, ticker tape break, blah, 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 blah. Half an hour before McKay ever gets there.
Somebody mentioned the medium well down there. Maybe the medium rare up here.
We're going to deal with the union. We're going to start dropping from the roofs of these buildings. No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Timing is critical. 12:05, please. That's my tan cut.
I've got a medium rare.
First, you got your Dixieland band on a flatbed.
Somebody's taking some good.
Right? The first car, you got Lucas. Lucas, Congressman, what's his name?
We're all here.
The mayor.
The mayor's not going to be there. The mayor's not going to be there.
I got a medium rare.
Mark, can we get this thing straight? Who has the medium rare?
I always had the impression that politicians never really looked you in the eye. I remember when we were in the ticker tape, when the eyes were wild and the faces were strained and they were cheering and wanted to grab your hand or grab you, and they were yelling, and suddenly it was impossible to look at any one person. They all seemed to look alike. And I imagine that's what happens to many politicians. You become a child of the crowd. You begin to adjust your whole attitude to suit the crowd. And that's what scares me.
So what does it all add up to? Can the campaigners still control the campaign, or does the medium overwhelm the men? And why do we get involved? Can we really change things? Or is it just another way to meet people, to let our hair down, or up, to raise a little hell, and mooch a few drinks? Maybe our needs for power, glamour, and excitement have more to do with our politics than we like to admit. But after all the posters and buttons are tossed away, the men we elect to office do make the laws we live with. And we might as well learn to tell the campaign circus from the real world. The candidates have seen the light, and they've noticed it has a camera attached. Our only choice is to use that light to look more closely at them, or to be dazzled by the slickness of their images. We will probably get about what we deserve.